Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Iron Panther Presents. Today, Kim and I shall be discussing Love and Death, which is the limited series dramatization of the real life story of the death of Betty Gore at the hands of Candy Montgomery in 1980 on Friday the 13th. I did not realize it was actually Friday.
I didn't realize it's either until I watched the documentary, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, that is such an omen, right?"
With an axe. I mean, that's legit.
Yeah.
I think the writers. I didn't watch the other version, the Candy. I think it was called Candy.
Yeah, I wasn't really not to knock it or anything. I just feel like she's Elizabeth Olsen, in my opinion, is a better actor than Jennifer Beal.
Yeah, I can. Yeah. And I think they purposely writing why they purposely like we don't want to say night like Friday the 13th because that gives like different images and everything. And they probably tried to the movie did come out in the 70s, so that they at least saw Friday the 13th, the first movie, where the mother actually was the murderer. And it's like so maybe they were like, let's not bring that part up. We'll just say on in June on the 13th, a said person was murdered. But what did you think of the series? Did you know about the story before you watched it?
Yes, because I watched the documentary. I love documentaries. So I had watched the documentary and I was like, oh my gosh, she got away with this, right? And I felt like this was bad. Like, in my opinion, I still feel like because she was a religious woman, she was able to get away with this. And I don't think that was right. Because you can self-defense to me is David's running after me. He's trying to kill me. I take the, whatever I can, and I hit you one time to disable you. Because that's what they teach you in these classes, right? Disable the person and run, right? Okay. But 41 times you hit. And then the thing is that Candy is a small woman, right? I think she was maybe 120 pounds or it may be smaller. And so that means that she had to muster. Because have you ever held an axe?
Yes, yeah. It's a lot. It's a lot to swing. And it's
gosh, yes, it's a lot. It's a ton to swing, right? I mean, I remember my dad, who was not a small man, struggling, with an axe. It's not easy, So I was like, this is brutal. It was a brutal kill, and then half of her face was cut off. Like, imagine that, right? Imagine half her face was gone after this brutal. Her arm was off. Like, I couldn't imagine. I was like, this is crazy, and I can't believe this woman is still roaming around, Candy. Yeah. And no consequences. Now she's helping, people with mental health issues and stuff. I'm like, this doesn't make up for what you did to her, because Betty didn't deserve this. You slept with her husband. You were her best friend. Remember, I always said, I told you what mother said about having best friends. Yeah, keep them away from your man. Yeah. So I don't know. I just, what do you think? Do you think that she should have went to jail or?
Like I said, to answer my own question, I didn't know anything about this story. So watching it, I'm like, oh, she going to jail because she put the affair aside just for a second. Like I said, she murdered this woman, hit her 40 times, right?
Yeah.
Over 40 times. She tried to cover it up at every point. It wasn't like she called the cops or she was there. Like, I'm like, so you tried, so at some point you realize you committed a crime.
Right.
Try to cover it up, come up with an alibi, lie to everyone until you get caught. And then in the last ditch effort, you're like, yeah, I did that shit, but I had to. It was self-defense. And I'm like, she going to jail. We just trying to, and then like they said, no, her lawyer was like, he wasn't a criminal defense lawyer. Like he was a personal injury lawyer. Right. Like this was his first actual like criminal case and a murder case at that, right? Mm-hmm. So I thought they were just laying the foundation for she tried. He was having trouble with the judge. The judge was shitting on him. So I was like, oh, she going to jail. But this supposed to be a tragic story. And they were just like, not guilty. I was like, let me rewind this. I must have missed something. I was like, maybe she's not guilty of murder in the first degree, but maybe she's guilty of murder. I think that's where they messed up. in most of these, at least what we see in other like real stuff, like there's multiple charges, like murder in the first degree, second degree, manslaughter or something, like something to be like, if we don't get her for this, we can at least get her for this. And they're like, not so that's why I thought not guilty for somehow murder in the first degree, but maybe guilty of manslaughter or whatever secondary charges they could bring upon her. So she went to jail for something.
Yes, something. Anything in the mental health ward of the jail.
That's where I would say we disagree.
Because I'm saying that not because I think she's crazy. I don't, because that whole defense of shh, your mom shushed you when you were like 6, excuse me, and now all of a sudden, this is like a trigger. Maybe it could have been a trigger. I don't know. But if this is what they're going with, then she should have been put in a mental health jail.
Yeah.
And then, and then at least she gets punished. This woman had 2 children that had to grow up without her. And then, I took notes on the aftermath of that was horrible for her children, for Betty's children. Horrible. Those children ended up being neglected. The father, Alan, got remarried, and the woman, Elaine, the 2 things that they noted that she did was for punishment, she would make the girl stand in ice water in the bathtub. The second thing that they said was that she made them read a book about their mother's death. And then each chapter she had to give a book report. They had to write a book report. Who does that? And then Alan didn't do anything about it. He just allowed this woman to do that.
So I just watched like maybe a 20-minute like overview of the story. Like all they said was he lost custody, right? Like, so in the movie, in the show, they were like, the children was raised by the parents, by Betty's parents, right?
By Betty, because there was an allegation of neglect.
So I didn't.
Children. Yes.
Yeah. I didn't. So I didn't get that part. So then, like they just said. So I said, oh, I thought he just gave up custody to the parents because he can handle it. And then this other one, it said he lost custody, but I didn't know why he lost custody. So he originally they did try to think, because I thought in the 80s, I hate to act like this is 1880 instead of 1980, but
80s was a while ago. My first son was born 86. It was a long time ago.
A long time. Well, to say like it's still a concept today that women are more intending to take care of the children. Like a father losing custody is far more common than like the mom losing the custody. Like mom loses custody, she has to be straight trash. Like a lot of things must be wrong with her. So it was my initial thought to be like, okay, mom's gone. The court was just like, well, the grandparents got to do it. A man can't take care of kids, especially 2 girls. Right. Like that's probably not good either way. So that's why I didn't realize that he got remarried and the wife was, like a contributing factor to him losing his kid.
That's horrible. Think about that. That's horrible. And Candy should feel horrible about that because she did that.
True. True. Well, jurors can't they don't know that until it happens. But I'm saying, in the case, like I thought, and again, I don't know how much the show's testimony and actions of the prosecutor was what they said in court, but I think they did a good job, even TV show wise, to say, all right, we're going to give you self-defense, right? You didn't know where the axe was. It's not your house. Let's say Betty brought the axe to the situation. 40 hits, like for the medical examiner to be like, at this point she's down, right? Like she's not getting up, she's barely conscious, if that, and and Candy just kept swinging, and to the point that she had to jimmy the thing out of her head to keep swinging. Which
that was gross. That was, part to hear that you had to
you had to put some strength behind it. That takes that strength and meant to me, your mind had to work to be like, pull. All right, now we can get back to work. Right. So I'm like, it's not just wow, like what they I think they did that in the Machine Gun Sally, I think it was called. I think we did that one. But the idea of reloading. If you reloaded, that took effort, right?
Purple. It was a person. Is it Percival? No.
Purposeful.
Right.
Like it was.
You did
it may
that
not
on
be
purpose to make sure that
So-
you had enough bullets to keep shooting.
The keep shoot, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's how she got messed up too. Like it was like you
One
reloaded.
second, I'm listening. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, I thought, I thought so. I guess with the axe you can't really reload, but to say that you were able to pull out the head and go back to work, to me, even from like a gun perspective, that's the issue of you were empty, you were out of rounds, you put more rounds into it, and you went to continue to hit this victim. And I thought that would have did her in. I think it was also an issue of they looked at her, and this is what the lawyer told her, like, lose weight. Like, I need you to wear certain things. You need to look small and frail.
Right. Yep.
You need
And
to,
she lost weight. I was like,
so I was like, he's like, he knew enough to
yeah.
be like, image is everything right now. Like, we need to act like you were overpowered, you were scared. But if you look like you're a former Marine, in the case of, the thing we watched, then it's going to be hard to sell it. It's going to be hard to sell to people. And so I think they looked at her. They said, woman in the church, there's no history of violence. There's no history of anything. And was like, they didn't want to believe it. Like, they didn't want to believe it. And I think the defense gave them a way out to say, well, it must have been rage. It must have been the thing, because we can't see her and see a killer.
Yeah. And that was exactly. And that's the problem. I was like, the prosecutors, in my opinion, didn't do enough to prove this case. You know what I mean? Like, they just didn't, because it's like, this is not self-defense. This obviously is not self-defense. I mean, come on.
So I hear what's up, y'all? Should I check this out? You should, T-Man Lee.
It's really good.
It is. It was Elizabeth Olsen does a great job. I would her, particularly when she was in Under Hypnosis, and in the little documentary I read, that was like a very specific thing that they brought up. It was also in the Jessica Biel version. They wanted to make sure that, but like, her emotional range during the hypnosis was awesome.
Yeah, she nailed it, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, she was like a woman who's she has suppressed anger and suppressed fear, and it all came out during hypnosis and her screaming and everything. But then she just stopped because the doctor was like, "Hey, you don't feel any pain," and then he poked her and stuff. And I don't remember him. He didn't test. I don't remember him test. He did testify. I thought he was going to try to put her under hypnosis, like during the trial, to to prove that this is a thing. Mm-hmm. And I thought that the judge, being the way the judge was, I thought that was going to be the thing. We're going to put her under hypnosis, and the judge is like, "This is hocus pocus bullshit," and I don't believe it. And then again, she gets convicted, and then she gets convicted because she's like, "This is the whole like defense right here, to be like, you can show you her pain in front of you, like this and her suppressed like past and all that." That's what I thought was going to happen. Mm-hmm. But
I don't think that judge would have allowed it anyway.
But so that's why I was like,
judge wanted her to be convicted, in my opinion. The way that he was acting with Don, it was like, this woman needs to go under the jail for what she did. You know what I mean? Because he wasn't really hiding the fact that he was like, "You did this." Yeah. Yeah.
And he wasn't getting along with Dan, so that's also
at all. Yeah, why I call him Don? Dan, right?
Well, I mean, so I was like, so that also added to the thing. And again, it was interesting to see him. No, it's Don. You're right, Don.
Is it Don? Okay.
Sorry, I'm sorry. To see how he interacted with the judge, and even and again, we don't know how much the dramatization are actually true, but like the thing that the judge was trying to use this like to get on TV would have made sense, because that would have been a very big trial. Mm-hmm. And that kind of reminded me of OJ. And like that, even in the early 90s, like TV was a thing, but that was a trial that proved that that you're doing like the court of public opinion, because everybody watched it all day.
Yeah, because I used to, when Court TV came out, I was on unemployment, I had lost my job. And I was watching Court TV every day. Like, Court TV was the thing that, you know what I mean? Like, it was so, because nobody had ever done that before, where you bring the cameras in and it's basically like a reality show.
Yeah.
And you see how the law works, how lawyers work, how judges, you see all of that, and it's very, very intriguing, right? Now it's passe, like nobody really cares anymore about that stuff. I mean, people still do watch it, but it's not like what it was.
Yeah.
And so if that would have been the first time they did, it would have been fantastic, because she was butchered in the eyes of the press, because the press saw what we saw, which was, this is not self-defense. If one whack, you run. Okay, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You 41. Okay, you've gone way past.
Yeah, overkill. That's an overkill. That's overkill situation.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Because she was already down. Her face was slashed in half already.
Yeah.
And you whacked her like 20 more times.
Yeah. And the
her
fact
arm
that
was gone, And
they're like, the fact that you left the baby like covered in
that right there.
I was like,
and then they said she blacked out. She had the mindset to take a shower.
Yeah, right.
In Betty's shower.
Yeah, right. To clean
And
up, to be like,
tell me that you couldn't hear that baby crying. The baby was crying.
And she had to touch the baby because the baby was covered in blood. So why did you go touch the baby in the first place? I mean, like, what were you doing with the baby that you were like, never mind, I'm gonna leave her here. Like, I was like, were you gonna take the baby? Were you gonna hurt the baby? Like, what was your thought process behind that?
That I don't think she was gonna do. I don't think she would have hurt the baby, but I think she went and comforted the baby, because she did hear her crying, which means that your mind was there, right? And then she put her back down. And I'm thinking, why would you do that? Like, why wouldn't you pick her up and take her with you? But if she did that, because this is her mind is working, right? If you would have taken the baby, you would have been questioned why you have Betty's baby.
Yeah, right. And then you can't say, well, I just left after a few minutes. So this is all like, I planned out my alibi. I planned out my story. Like, I'm like, that's meditation. That's not premeditation, but it's after the fact. It's after the fact. Like, I'm trying to make like this didn't even happen, and I don't know what happened.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, and then her cutting up the shoes and all that kind of stuff. It was just too many things.
She did what she did, and that's what they said. It was feces on the bed.
On the bed. Yeah, because the baby was sitting there all night. Yeah. I'm like that.
Well, not all night, but she was like there for hours. Like, like 8 hours, 6 to 8 hours, right? She was sitting in her own feces and urine. And when the guy went into the house, Alan's friend, to check on her, oh my God, like, this baby sitting in her own stuff, right? It's like,
at least that's what I'm saying. At least child neglect, child abandonment, or something.
Exactly. They should have given her something, because that baby could have died. She could have eaten her own feces because she was starving.
Also,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. So something and then maybe I was like that. I don't know, but I think they were like, this crime is so bad, we got her again, kind of like an OJ situation. You're like, we got this dude, right? Like we know he did it. Yeah, not so much, buddy. Like not so much. Like, you gotta and in the I don't think in the show they did a lot with jury selection.
They didn't really tell us anything about that part. Like, normally in these shows they show that, but they didn't really.
Yeah, because like that's like a whole thing. And again, the only thing I know in my jury is the OJ trial was like the jury selection was everything. Like, they were like, these we need people that will sympathize with us. Like, both sides, prosecution and defense, should be like, we need people that are going to see our side of the case. And it would have been interesting if Don was able to shape the jury to a way. It's like, we stacked enough in there. All we need is one. But if we get enough of them, we get at least an acquittal, some kind of acquittal or a mistrial or something. Right. Not even a mistrial. A mistrial would have been better. At least that proves someone on this thing was like,
you're guilty.
This shit. Right? Like I'm not voting not guilty. I'm just not doing, like, hung jury. Excuse me, that's what I'm thinking. Hung jury. Yeah, like that would I would have felt better about that. And then maybe the next jury for some reason like lets her go. Because we've seen that in some other cases where it's like, oh, big drug lords or whatever, like they get out that first murder. No, children. Like when they die in a car, and like especially when I think people perceive women not as harsh as they perceive men. Like when a man leaves a baby in the car, he can't just be like, oh, I was working, it was too much for me. They're like, you killed that kid. Like it's not as quick is when a
And
woman's
dry,
like,
right.
right, it's right. When a woman does it, you can, it's a natural sympathy. You just assume that she wanted to be the good mother and she was trying. And like when the woman killed all of her kids, right? She drove off the cliff and like drowned the
Oh,
kid.
yeah.
And then she blamed it on the black man. That's
Yeah.
what I was thinking about, right? Did she get convicted? She got convicted, right?
She got convicted. She's still in jail. Yeah.
All right,
For
all right.
life. Yeah.
Right.
Well, she deserved that because she did it on purpose.
Well,
I mean, she had a boyfriend and then she was sleeping with her stepfather and she had a lot of issues. Yeah, it was a lot.
Well, then that's the perception, right? Like you can frame like so Candy, there was one affair, the affair was over. Her and Alan, more importantly, was like, it was over. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, this is not, I'm trying to take your man, right? So that kind of helped her out. And then, I mean, at least in the show version, even the husband was like, it was my fault. You know, Don was like, we got to get this whole scarlet letter of you being a cheating woman off the table.
Oh, and Betty was pregnant.
Betty
was pregnant. Remember, she was telling right before Alan left.
Yes.
She was telling Alan
she thought she was
pregnant again, and she was crying.
She thought she was pregnant. I want to say the post.
Oh, okay.
I want to say the post. They said they made a point. I think they made a point to be like she wasn't actually pregnant. You know, in the thing.
Okay.
But either way, I mean, you still got a baby sitting. She just gave birth not too long ago, so you got
exactly. Yeah,
and you give the baby shower like you ain't. That's another thing to the point of you need to watch out for your friends, bro. They be fucking your spouse and then throwing them baby showers and stuff. That's
yes.
Yes.
I'm telling you, I have lost many friendships because they're women. I love them as my friend, but what they do in their personal lives, as far as sleeping with married men or some guy who has a girlfriend or whatever, I can't condone it. And then I used to tell them, don't tell me about that part of your life. Like, we can talk about anything else. Why do we got, you know what I mean? Talk about anything else, but you want to talk about that part of your life. And I can't, I had to cut them off. I'm like, I'm done.
Right.
It's not cool.
It's not cool. It's not cool. But I will say often it's romanticized. It's too many stories of the man you want is right there. You just gotta get past the woman he's with, whether that's your friend or not, and then you'll ride off into happiness because you're the real person he's supposed to love.
Right.
Sherry was awesome. I love the Sherry character, her best friend, like with the red hair and everything.
Yeah, I liked her.
She was cool.
I liked her. Yeah. She was a typical hairdresser personality, right? Just kind of,
what's going on, girl? Let's do this. And I was like, and she was doing like all trying to take her out and do things. I felt bad for Pat. I think Pat did a good job, and Alan. I think the actor who played Alan was really good because he did play kind of like a subdued, guy just there. Like he wasn't.
But that's how they said the real Alan was. That he was just kind of just there, that he really. The affair was of course a team effort or whatever, but it was also where he was just kind of a plain guy, and it was kind of weird that Candy picked him to have an affair with, because you would think she picked like a bad boy or
like a Don,
exciting or something, but when she was like his penis is large, I was like, oh, okay. I guess that's a plus. I
mean, you would hope so, at least for an affair. But it's just, again, I don't know how much dramatization, but it was interesting. Like even in the show, like when she was talking to to Sherry, she was like, I can't fall in love with him. Like this, like at least where we're getting right. Like she's like, I'm looking for something to do. I could do him for a while, and my heart won't get attached. But in the show, you see like over a year, they didn't do a good job of showing. I felt like I didn't feel like time was passing. Short of Betty getting, saying she's pregnant and having a baby, giving birth. I didn't feel time passing to be like, oh, it's been a month. It's been over a year. Like I didn't get that. So I was like, how long is this affair going? And to a point where she does like Candy does start to catch feelings, and it's like, which does happen if you're having an intimate relationship with someone,
and especially women. Women are good. I taught my kids this early. A woman's heart lives in her vagina. I'm just sorry that's just where it is. Okay,
they're well connected.
They're very connected, and it's like that is something that you can perceive. Oh, we're just having sex, in the woman's mind, no, they have feelings for you. Their feelings come with that act.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, you know, now if it's a hooker, she shuts it down, right? But if it's just a regular woman not doing this as a job,
right,
then yeah, right.
It says, but even then, like say, it's human nature, right? Like at some point, if it's regular, if it's intimate, at some point,
it's good.
It's good. It does help, right? Like it does help that it's gonna be some type of something right there. And I thought that was, I hate to say realistic, but it made sense when she was like, tell me something no one else knows. And he's like, what? It was like I want to feel. That's when I was like, she wants to feel something. She wants to feel connected, right? She wants to be like, this is special and this means something.
Because that's human. That's woman's nature, right?
Yeah.
This is something special, right? Yeah. I mean, there are some men like that too, but more 9 times out of 10, it's the woman who starts that. That
starts the process of like, can we feel like this is more than just fucking? I was like, well, why? But if we're hanging out with the kids and everything, like it's. So I could see her when she was like, I can't believe he's going back to his wife. I was like, this is some Lifetime movie shit right here. But that's real. Because all of a sudden you're like, I'm the one you're supposed to be with. Like I'm his real love. Like, no, I got a wife, I got a kid.
And you have Pat.
You got a husband. They made a point, and again, I don't know. This is all drama. It's all dramatized. So you gotta get. They're trying to make characters, not people, right?
Right.
So Pat is definitely the oblivious. I just want to sit here and watch TV, no passion husband. Like they want to give you a reason why Candy's out there fucking around, right? It can't just be here. She has a great husband who's attentive and helps take care of the kids, because you can't accept her cheating at that point.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And they did a job of making that character. They did
because that actor did a really good job at that. Because once they told him what she did, which I love that they did it, that Dawn did it, and they gave us Pat's reaction, the face. It was no words, it was just his face. And I was like, that's good acting, because you saw everything he was thinking and feeling just in his face. And I was like, I remember him from being a kid actor. Like he's been around for a minute. And so he's that was really good. Like this show to me should get an Emmy or something.
Yeah,
because it was very well done. The acting was so good. The music, I told you, that was what really got me. The music was phenomenal. Like I was like, this is perfect soundtrack. It was good.
It was a lot though. Like it was a lot.
It was a
lot though. I felt like I was watching a music video at some point, and I'm like, let's get to the dialogue. Shit. I'm like, I get it. It's a time frame thing. You're trying to go retro. I felt like I was watching a James Gunn Guardians of the Galaxy movie. With the lot with the music in the time.
I love that. I love those movies.
I was like, it was good. I mean, so yeah, I was like, it's a lot, bro. And also too long. Like I think like 7 episodes is a lot for this story.
Yeah, it could have been done in 4.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like 3 or 4 would have been fine. You know what I'm saying? And then it could have been like they meet, the affair starts, you got an episode for the actual affair and then you got it falls apart, she gets killed, and you got the trial, boom. And then because they kind of go different directions with with people not liking the pastor and that kind of stuff, which really doesn't mean anything.
Because the new younger pastor, the guy, right, instead of the older woman. And to be honest with you, I didn't feel like even her contribution. I know that actress; she's a great actress, but I felt like we didn't even need her. Like we saw her too many times. Like I didn't need to see you. And then that last time when she was like, "I can't believe you did it," I was like, "Why do we need this part? Like this is like extra for no reason."
Sherry would have been better. They wanted that friend that was close to her enough to be like, I can't believe you did this. And then you did do it right. But Sherry should have been the one, because that's her go-to, at least how they post, that's her go-to friend.
Yeah, that's her best friend.
Right? That would have been the one to be like, you lied to me. Like you didn't even tell me what happened, and I can't believe that you did this shit. Like that would have been a better something like that. But I think that's what they're trying to use her the pastor for. But it was a lot of her. It was a lot of her in church stuff, interchurch conflict and stuff like that. Yeah. And I'm like, that's no. Like we spent way too much time on that. to get what we're trying to achieve. We're here. Them going off to the couples counseling thing.
Yeah.
I was like, this.
Did you see Candy's face when they came back though? She was pissed. I was like, okay, that's where the problem was. Yeah, like she was so angry about it. And I was like, this is why you don't have an affair. Because especially with your best friend's husband. Because this is what's going to happen. You're going to have all the feels, right?
Yeah.
When you see him with his wife.
Yeah.
And then you babysat the children, which I'm hoping and praying that Candy wasn't mean to them. I don't think she was, but you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Women can be catty.
They can be. If they're like, especially they feel like you're the reason I can't be with him, right?
Yes,
if he's like, I can't leave Betty because we got the kids. So Candy's somewhere in Candy's mind, she's like, fuck these kids. Like they're the reasons why we can't be together.
Yes.
And that's not, what I'm saying, but like it was just more like he was like, no, like I want to recommit to my wife. What? It's like this is where I need to be. And she's like, no, nobody liked Betty and she was mean. And I was like, it was like when you start turning on them. I made it to episode 3. Hey, Stacey.
Yay. Hey, Stacey.
I told you. Stacey was like, nah. It was too long.
I mean, it's not for it's really not for everybody. Yeah. But it's I just thought that Elizabeth Olsen, just based on the fact that she did a phenomenal job, I was like,
she deserves it.
She deserves it. She did. I mean, this young lady is I haven't seen her in anything that I did that I was like, oh my God, what is she doing? I really haven't.
So I would say accent wise, this is what I'm saying. She did a much better job with her Southern accent than she did with her East European Slavic.
Oh yeah, she's not good at that one.
That shit was horrible. As Scarlet Witch, they're like, we need to cut this off immediately. It took them a couple of movies before they figured that out. But I was like, so when I hearing that, I was like, But then like hearing this one, I'm like, all right, you're doing Southern better. You're doing Southern better.
Yeah.
So I thought that was cool. See, Stacey, we said 3 episodes. If they would have made it 3 episodes, if the death would have happened in episode 2, right, then that would have kept your attention. And then you would have saw the trial in episode 3, and it would have been done. Hello, Jazzy. Thank you for joining us. Again, if you haven't watched this series, you should. The episodes for me felt long. I have to say I can admit that I get up early in the morning, so to watch it at night as I'm in the bed, I'm like, woo! These episodes are still going. I mean, I feel it.
For me, I don't know. Maybe it's because I felt for me they went quicker, and I think because I was I was really enthralled in it. Like I watched every second of, like, sometimes when I'm watching something, I might be on my phone. I could be doing a puzzle. I could be painting. There's a bunch of things. I'm throwing balls for dogs. For this, I actually paid attention because my younger son and his wife, they're the ones who told me about it. They were like, this is on it. And I was like, oh, that's a true story. And they were like, really? And then I told my son about what happened. And he was like, oh, that's cool. And then they continued to watch it. And, I was like, okay. And that's why when I told you about it, I wasn't telling you just so we could do the review. I was just telling you that this is a good series to watch, if you're not watching anything else. So to me, Elizabeth, I mean, that's it. And then the guy who played Alan, I like him anyway. He's a really good actor. But I think, and then it's David E. Kelly, right?
Also good for the procedurals. Like he does a lot of good like law stuff, and procedural stuff. He's doing
Practice. Was it the
Lincoln Lawyer? Yeah, he did
Lincoln Lawyer.
He's doing Lincoln Lawyer. Season 2 is coming soon.
Okay.
And he's good with that. So I can see the legal foundation of this. Like they, and then they try to, as much as once the law stuff started, like how they kind of did the investigation, they looked through evidence, like it made sense, like and then once Don came on board as a lawyer, like that was kind of cool. So they did, the trial was exciting and still relevant, because they say it's hard to make trial stuff look interesting, but like they did. I would have liked more jury stuff. Any jury stuff. Like what were they thinking? How are they feeling? How are some of them selected? Some of them. I think that would have been interesting.
Yeah, like after. Wait, hold on one sec. I gotta come to my.
All right. Kim will be back. But I thought the in other shows where it's about a trial and it's a jury trial, you know, and these kind of things, the juries will make or break obviously any case. So it would have been good to see jury selection. It would have been good to see the jury's reaction when they heard about 40 whacks, when they heard about that the assailant had to pull the axe out of said victim's head and keep on hitting her. Did anyone go, oh shit, oh she must have did it? Was anyone like repelled by it? Were they like, oh my God, you know, like then we could be like, oh, she's about to get convicted because these people ain't going for her. When she talked about when the defense talked about her abuse and how her mom was kind of responsible for all this and for the thing, like it would have been interesting to see if anyone was buying it. You know what I'm saying? Even if they didn't want to reveal the verdict, even though it's a true story, so technically you should know how it ended. I mean, I didn't know, but if they were like, if we would have saw them doing the whole deliberation thing, would have been interesting. Like for a little bit, like we think it's gonna go a certain way. Certain people are like, "Oh, she did it." Other people are like, "No, she couldn't have did it. Look at her," and then they fade away, and then 4 hours later we get the verdict, and they're like something. So we knew like
what the jurors were thinking because they had a show. I can't remember what channel it was, but they had a show where they actually talked to jurors about certain cases that were like really highlighted in the news. And I don't remember them doing this one, but that would have been good if they would have, because I wanted to know what they were thinking. Because to me, I really feel like it was a religious thing.
Oh.
The reason, because this was, church people and, all of that. How could you convict Kandi? She was a church going woman. She had her family and da da da. But I'm like, but Betty, and a lot of people didn't like Betty, right?
Mm.
Kandi, they did like Kandi, but Betty had like an attitude, but really, I think Betty had a mental disorder that was untreated, right? She also had self-esteem issues because she was a heavier person, right? So it's because a lot of her insecurities about Alan was based on her, right? Because she's a heavier woman and she's thinking, he doesn't want me. He wants, other women because I'm heavy, right? And then Alan is always away, but he's doing what a lot of men in that time did. Like if you're a salesman or whatever, you go away, you do whatever you got to do. You have conferences and meetings and stuff. But in her head, it's like he's staying away from me. You know what I mean? That's what I got from it, a lot of it. And then the documentary, I felt like that's what they were trying to let us know about Betty's personality.
But and a lot she's obviously dead, so like a lot of this stuff's from other people, and then like even the fight itself, like what we know, what's the court record of what happened in that room is really Kandi's story.
Yeah,
right?
We don't know because Betty's not here to tell us what the truth is. We know that it was Betty's axe. That's it. That's really all we know.
I mean, and I'm saying, so even now, any documentary is just what people dissecting or either believing what Kandi said about this whole thing. So, I mean, we don't know. To the point of jury stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Once the trial started, it should have been more jury than Kandi and family, because we already know Pat's gonna support her. We already know she's sitting around trying to figure out the verdict, and Don is her lawyer. So like it was in that case, it was kind of redundant just to see them eating with the kids, smoking cigarettes, waiting for something, and that could have been the jury time at that point. And now, because it's almost like the courtroom was a side story. Like it was more like how she and her family were dealing with phone calls, people harassing them, that kind of thing. And like they could have made it more jury stuff. I mean, it's only 4 hours, so I mean that.
I mean, true. I mean, they could have taken like 5 and 6, episode 5 and 6, and then done something with the jury where they're in the room and they're arguing, debating with each other, and stuff like that, and giving us a little bit more of that side of it, because I really do want to know, what were you thinking, and what would I have done with all the evidence, in front of me? Would I have convicted her? Like, because sometimes this is a thing too, like with Casey Anthony, right? In our hearts, we know she did it, right? But there was no real proof she did it. You know what I mean? So it's like, as a juror, you cannot convict someone if there's not enough proof. And I feel like with Kandi, maybe that was kind of like thrown out the window. Like the proof was there, in my opinion, but
But you don't.
but it,
You don't want to believe it, and some of their minds like she's a mother, she has kids she has to take care of, right?
yes.
It's like it's not just her, right? Like you take her out, you're taking out a whole family, and and again history, like just a mild mannered wife, no history of violence or any kind of criminal activity,
right?
does a
Right.
horrific thing, and even I mean post murder and conviction, she's never got convicted of anything else or assaulted anyone else, and never became a thing again. So even past that, decades later, this is still a one moment in time where she lost it and she killed someone.
Yeah, and that could happen to any one of us, right? Like you just
that's-
snap for a second, and it happens. So I get that part of it, but I still feel like
something.
it's 41, man. That's what's in my head, and I can't. And the fact that this woman's face was sliced in half and her arm was gone, but you hit her 20 more times, for me doesn't make sense. Now there was a part where they said that Betty got up, even though she was she had like her arm was hurt or whatever. She did get back up, and they was sliding. But this is Candy's tale, right? We don't know if it's true,
right?
Yeah.
Right.
So I mean, Betty could have still been laying on the ground, and she kept, you know what I mean? We don't know, but
or she was trying to save herself, right?
yeah,
I mean,
she could have been like, stop, don't
I'm
do this.
I'm
Don't
sorry, I get it. You can have Alan, like,
Right.
you don't even get that, so but again, if Candy's already in kill mode or defense mode, like it don't matter. Every effort to get up is just another, oh, you're trying to get me.
Yes.
And then it's just she said in this sense, and one of them has the axe.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was hard, but again, well done. I definitely, and HBO's pretty good with the whole HBO's fine. HBO's good with the whole nomination stuff. I think this would be a contender. I mean, it should be.
It should be. It really should be, because excuse me, this young lady. Excuse me, one second.
Okay. For anyone still watching, don't worry. Stacey and I will be together, and we shall be discussing the Dirty D. And I have quite a few comments. I had to write some shit down, so we're gonna be talking about that for a while. Baby mama, baby daddy situations. A lot of things going on with that show. 12 episodes. And season 3 is coming. So you can catch us doing that at 3:00 ish. So yes, just let you know. Stacey, are you still there? I see chatting. What else we got? We got Dirty. We got Marvel's coming this week. We also got Yellowstone. We got Yellowstone this weekend. Might do Black Mirror. Depending if I watch that. There's some episodes we want to discuss. From season finale is this weekend, so we will be saying goodbye to From.
I was choking it down. Okay.
No, it's okay. It happens. It happens. But anyway, anything else for this?
No, I just really enjoyed it. I know it's like the water went down the wrong pipe. So anyway, I really enjoyed it, and I think it's worth the watch. And I like the whole way that they did their affair was like a business transaction.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of threw me off. I was like, what's happening? Because they had 6 rules, that they had to comply to. But other than that, I still feel like she should have went to jail. Something. They said her daughters are fine. Her son and daughter are fine. Candy is, a grandmother and all this stuff. And I'm like, I just feel bad that Betty didn't have the opportunity to be a grandmother.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot that Betty is going to have to answer to when she gets to the pearly gates. That's how I feel. If that, because she's Miss Religion, right? So what she did was horrible. So I think she's a horrible person. I think Alan is a horrible person, not based on the affair, but more so what he allowed to happen to his children after the affair. And if that woman, Elaine, that he married, I can't believe that he would do that. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
allow
yeah,
that to
yeah.
happen. And then, but also too, I don't know whether Alan was still traveling and these things were happening and he wasn't there.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah.
It could be that, but how the court looks at it as they're your kids. So even though you may not have been there the entire time, you allowed this to happen. And I'm sure the kids were telling him, Dad, this is happening to us. And if he didn't do anything, that's neglect.
No, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
If the show is any kind of indication, he still had to work, so he probably was still traveling. Probably
Mhm.
wanted someone, a woman, and they did show that in the series how some woman kept on coming over, and I think they made out. They made out at some point, like she was gonna bring her food.
On the couch. Yeah.
And I was like, shady. And she's
Yeah.
like, hey, are you there? And I was like, oh, now he's a sympathetic person in church. So some woman's gonna try to step in and fill that gap.
But that's what always happens, right? Especially in the church atmosphere. Oh, we got to go over to Alan's house and make sure Alan's okay, right? And then it leads to something else, right?
Right.
Yeah. So yeah. And Alan, the way that he was portrayed, I was like, why?
How's he doing it? I mean, these women just flocking to him. Like,
Yes.
I don't understand this at all. I thought Sherry was gonna try to get a piece, but Sherry was like, I can only think about it. I thought she was married the way she expressed. She's like, I would like to have an affair, but I just don't have it in me. So I mean, we never saw her husband. So I thought I was like, what? I couldn't figure out if she was married or not.
I thought she had a boyfriend, and that's how she had the shop. That's what I thought. Because I thought she was talking to Candy about it, but I can't remember.
I mean, she was just a great character, but it was interesting. And it was interesting how they brought up Star Wars. I was like, I was wondering if Disney was like, don't make us a part of this. We don't want to be associated with this situation.
But that was part of the story, though. They actually did. That's where they were taking Alyssa. They were, and she asked permission to Betty. Can I take Alyssa to to see Star Wars? Yeah. Because at the time people didn't know what Star Wars really was, right? So you got to ask your parents, can you see it?
You'll see, yeah, but it's like looking back on it, be like, we ain't trying to be associated with a 40 whack murder, right? Just be like, can we go to the movies? Just say the movies. We don't authorize you to say Empire Strikes Back, which actually was because Candy's struck back
right
quite a few times. And it was a good movie too, actually. But I thought it was kind of interesting. But okay,
okay? Yeah, I'm good. It's.
The water got you. I get you. It happens. Yeah. It happens.
Yeah.
All right. That is the video, I do believe. This is a great story. Is there any other story that since you watch a lot of crime TV stuff? Is there any other story you would like to see a similar dramatization of that you think would be interesting?
Casey Anthony, but I think they did it, but I don't like how they did it. I would love to see that.
Is that the one who drowned all her kids?
No, that's a woman named Andrea who. Oh, I know you're talking about. You're talking about the other chick. Somebody Smith. I forgot her last.
She took them one at a time. Like she took them into the bathroom and.
That's her name is Andrea. Andrea Yates.
Okay.
Yeah, that I don't know if I could sit through that.
That's
if they show them just closing the door, like
it won't they won't go through all that. But I mean, but like her overall story, because I think did she get convicted? I don't think she got convicted.
And then she's in the mental ward of a jail.
Okay.
She is, and she's been in there, and her husband, it took him years to divorce her. He stuck by her. Yeah. Oh. He's married to someone else and he has children with them. But it took him a long time because they were religious and he forgave her. Oh. Forgave her. And she was not in the right mind. There's no way that someone in their right mind could drown an infant and then their siblings who were like 1, 2, 3, like little.
Yeah, But see, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're rationalizing. You're like, see, she had to be crazy. It could just be she was like, I'm just gonna kill these kids because again, that takes effort. That wasn't someone like she was daydreaming and the baby was under the water for too long. Like she went to go get the rest of those kids.
Well, what she said was she thought she was saving them because the devil was coming to get them.
So I'm like, but like, it's like you can't be here, bro. Like I'm saying, but then
But
that's
she didn't
like,
hide it. But the difference is she didn't hide anything.
oh,
She called her husband.
oh,
She called the police. She did. She told.
okay, all right. So there you go. All right, and
Mhm.
she did get convicted.
She did.
So
But she's in a mental hospital, which is not exactly the same, but at least it's something, right?
it's something. It's something as opposed to someone who hides it and be like, nah, I didn't do that shit. I was like, so to the point of like, even when you say, I did that shit, I got, I need to work on this. They're like, no, you got to go. Like
Yeah.
you still with the trial stuff. So she got to go. So, and you said and the woman who drowned her kids blamed it on the black man. She also got convicted.
Susan Smith.
Susan Smith, that's her name?
That was her name. Mhm.
Right. So like very interesting stories. I think very interesting stories to see. And how do they tell the tale, right? Is it try to sympathize with said murderer or like to villainize them? Because you gotta go one direction or another, really.
And I think Lifetime has done these, but I don't really like Lifetime movies.
Mm.
They're just so
Lifetime.
yeah. It's like I hate them because they're just not good,
Yeah.
So this would, I think, if if David E. Kelly was to make this a thing, where he started a series where every season was a different crime.
So he could do what Ryan Murphy is doing with the Monster series,
Yes.
right? Pick a high profile woman murderer situation trial, and how does it end? And try to put like that. That would be interesting. Because Ryan Murphy's killing it. No pun intended, I suppose. But he's
really is. I mean, his overall deal, he's sticking to it. He's doing his thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm waiting for Courtney.
Well, I'm about to say, except for at least at least 2 out of the 3 are actually doing some work.
Sandra's doing her thing.
Oh yeah,
She's not even writing Grey's Anatomy anymore, and I didn't even know that. I thought she was still doing it. No.
Oh really?
She hasn't wrote. Yeah, she doesn't write that story anymore. She hasn't written it in like 3-4 years now.
She's still making them checks though.
Well, so is Courtney still gets paid off of Power.
I was like,
she's
dang.
Executive producer and a creator.
True. I was like, too late, Stacey. I asked for you, and you finally said I'm here. It's fine. I see you. I see you in a little bit. It's fine. We'll talk about the Dirty D then. I got a lot of notes, girl. Got a lot of notes.
Yeah. Enjoy.
It's a lot of this. I was like, wait. Oh, okay, that's over here, and this is so and so, and I'm like, God damn it. I was like, but it got more going on in the P Valley. It's not the same quality of production. I will give you that.
Yeah.
But
and the acting is terrible.
There's some bad scenes. There's some really bad yeah. But obviously they went to IG for the casting. They were just like, but you. But you. And it's like, acting is definitely optional with this casting. But storytelling wise, I was like, oh, okay, let's see where this is going. And I wonder why so-and-so did this. I'm like, and 3 is coming. Anyway, so we will do Stacey and I will do all that at 3:00. And I gotta see what's going on with Brillo, the big review, something like that.
Oh yeah, I have a reminder for that.
Yeah, we're still working out the details. It's supposed to be today. I need to see what platform he's doing. And he hasn't got back with that. But that should be around 5:00. But
because he said he has it for 4.
Oh,
I guess that would be my time. It's 5 your time. Yeah. It's already up.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, excuse me. Okay, I gotta get dressed. I didn't know he was like, this is the thing. Like he was like,
yeah, it's there. I got to notify.
I did not even know he did. All right. Well, okay. Well, I guess it's happening.
Do it, man.
I'm gonna do it. I was like, I ain't worried about this dude. I mean, what are we discussing? It's Tariq, right? He wants to.
Yeah,
all right,
Tariq.
All right. The good and bad of why this character is trash or not.
Yes.
Got it. Mr. St. Patrick will be roasted. So I look forward to it. It's just me and him, right? Is he inviting the other dude?
What Moda J?
Yes.
Moda J. I don't think so. I can't tell from the I can't tell. I mean, he might. He's a nice guy too. I subscribe to him. He's very funny and he does a lot of Power videos. He does. I gotta branch out. But anyway, Kim, you have a great birthday. You have a great birthday. You have a great birthday. I heard you had a great time with your brunch. We'll stay now. We'll be hanging out. Okay. See you next week.